we want to thank Anastasia for her idea in putting this together. Let's give her a round of applause, please. I'll bring it up. Yeah. And I don't deny the power of words. I sat in a prison cell and I heard this great Reverend Smith at the Million Man March. And his words inspired me in such a way that this Christian pastor made me become a Muslim. But he's a great human being. He's been great in this community and this church. He's upheld everything that's happened here positive. So let's give him a round of applause too. You know, sometimes we get together and we got it? Okay. Got it. I'll hold it. So sometimes we get together in gatherings like this and we look around the room and we see the numbers, and sometimes the numbers discourage us. But we have to remember that it was only a few with Jesus. And out of that few came over 2 billion Christians today. It was only a few with the Prophet Muhammad, but out of that few came over 1 billion Muslims today. So I'm honored to be present in this organizing of human beings desirous to bring change throughout the world. Humanity is calling, and all of us in this room have a duty to answer. Now, I'm honored and I feel blessed to represent a fighter for freedom, a fighter for justice, a fighter for equality, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Dr. King said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. It was mentioned that he also wrote a chapter titled Pilgrimage to Nonviolence. The minister said that we need a pilgrimage to humanity. He talked about the leaders of Israel and how that leadership has filtered down to the soldiers. And what you see in the leadership and what you see in the soldiers is almost a beast-like attitude. It's a beast-like mindset. And then for people to be able to watch this on social media, on the news, and not respond, it speaks towards us becoming beast-like. When you can see women, men, children murdered like this, and you not even have a response. You just turn the channel as though you're watching a movie. You have to question yourself. You have to question your own humanity. What has happened to me that this can happen in front of me and I not say or do anything? Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. See, the bully doesn't stop with just one kid, but the bully goes on to the next, and the next. So in order to stop the bully, the children in the class have to unite. The children in the class have to get together so that when the bully comes to get one, the whole class stands against him. Today, Israel is that bully. A bully, unfortunately, that's backed by America. And this, small gatherings like this, is the beginning of the students in the class uniting against the bully. So give yourselves a round of applause for being here. So now the class has to stand up in unity. I'm quoting Dr. King, and I've heard Dr. King quotes, but I understand also in my studies that Dr. King was more than just words. He was more than just saying peace. He was more than nonviolence. He gave his body. The civil rights workers gave their bodies. They sacrificed their lives in the face of brutal beasts to bring about change. So it's not just holding a sign, right? Or doing a march. They faced mob attacks. They had dogs sicked on them. Some were even murdered. Now, I'm just saying this to remind us that change didn't come from words and legislation. An uncommitted vote is a good start, but it's only a symbolism if you're going to the people that's funding the genocide. To expect Joe Biden, who's funding the genocide, to go to Congress, who votes to fund the genocide, and think that an uncommitted vote is going to get us some type of justice, it's a beginning. It's a start. As a black man in America, I could study my history and I can tell us all that slavery didn't end because of legislation. But Harriet Tubman had to do real work. Frederick Douglass had to do real work. Even Nat Turner had to do real work to force people to make up their minds. We got to end this thing. And it's going to take all of us to do some real work in order to stop the genocide that we're seeing in Gaza. It's going to take each of us to do real work. God is a God of justice. But David had to fight Goliath. David didn't say, well, nonviolence is the way. And, Reverend Smith, he could preach a sermon also about Jesus saying, sell your cloak and buy a sword. This is a reality. So we can't just come to meetings like this and talk to people who are damaged or who are broken and say, hey, it got to be nonviolent. You got to pray for peace. But you also have to raise up faith without works is dead. You also have to raise up that, hey, we got to put some effort in. We have to give our bodies to this thing if we really want change, because you can look at the past and you can see that the talk and the chatter hasn't worked because we have these puppets in office. Like you said, he talked about the person he's Israel's politician. How do you win in the face of that? With just words or having peace meetings. Now, I'm a Muslim. It's Muslims and Christians in this great room. And we're in one of the greatest churches in the history of our nation. But I have to say, as a minister, prayer won't be enough. Prayer won't be enough. Which is why the scriptures say faith without works is dead. I work myself in Dearborn, Michigan, the largest population of Muslims outside of Mecca. But their financial donations to wipe away their guilt will not be enough. It's going to take more. So those who believe in God, who believe in Allah, must muster up courage to live God, to live Allah, to stand against the powers that be in a real way. Now, I'm here to show support for that type of movement. I'm here as a representative of Minister Farrakhan to do something that's greater than all of our individual desires. Humanity is calling us, and each of us in the room is obligated to answer. I'm happy to see young people here because the young people are the ones, man, that's going to change this thing. But you can't change it just, following the blueprint of the past, right? It's up to you to take it inside. It's up to you young people to take it. It's up to you to take it and transform it. We know what we know today because of social media. If it wasn't for social media and young people sharing this stuff, we may not know 10% of what's going on. So now we have to sit down as those who want to see justice, those who want to see equality. Sit down with these young people and figure out, okay, what's the best way that we can get together going forward? No, we don't want to hurt anybody. We don't want to see death on either side. But it's happening right now. So what can we do to stop it? What's the best process we can take to pressure this government that we're under to make a better decision? What can we do with our friends, our neighbors, our families to have them stand up with us to stand against this genocide? Because if it's going on there, hey, it might end up here. You might be the next person that they don't like. You might be the next person on the list. So as human beings, I grew up in a household, my mom didn't like animals, so we didn't have animals in the house. My wife likes pets, so we got pets, right? And I got close to the pets. I love them. Then one of them died. I was so hurt. But if a human being can be hurt about what happens to an animal, but not be moved by what we're seeing happen to our Palestinian brothers and sisters, it's something you have to look in the mirror and question yourself about. What's happened to me that I'm now acting as a beast? And as young people, you can look at this world and say, hey, man, I don't want the world that I'm in to be like that world that my parents are stewards of. Yeah, we can look at ourselves with the gray hair, and I got gray too. I faded out. But we've dropped the ball in some areas. So it's beautiful to see, politicians coming up who want to do right. But then we got to keep him right, because if he wins, we can't let him change. They get in and they open up a different book. Then he's a different guy. Then he got on a tie. But all of us, we have a role to play in changing this world. Everybody here today, you got eyes to see, ears to hear, tongue to speak, a brain to think, hands to bring into fruition what you think. God activated you this morning, and he's put it in your hands. So what you gonna do with it? How do we stand up and change this thing? We can. It's been done. We talked about slavery. That was a terrible part of American history. And the people who went through it are still suffering from it. Then you went through a civil rights movement where they fought and fought and fought and were killed to get what we have today. We still face police brutality and unequal things shot our way, but it was a fight. Now we got to jump in the fight today. The fight for humanity. So all of you young people that are here, it's in your hands, because it's your world. You know what I mean? You're the stewards now. The ones who came before us, which are here today, beautiful people who are here today. They can be your guides. They can be the people that you ask questions to. But now you got to lead with a different heart and a different energy and a different way. You can. Most beautiful generation we've seen. Most diverse generation we've seen. So I would love to see our young people take this cause up, get with Anastasia, take this cause up, and we could expand this thing, man, and really make change in the world and bring some peace to Gaza, which hasn't been. We can start a new thing. We've had leaders for the last 30, 40 years who've talked about peace over there, but it's never happened. Maybe this can be the beginning of something new. As I said, Jesus started out with just a few followers. Muhammad started out with just a few followers. I'm sure Dr. King started out with just a few followers. But look what it grew into. You all can lead this new world and change this new world and create a new dynamic. And it doesn't have to be based upon the guidelines that, those who are older have set for you. Yeah, you pull from it and you learn from it. But hey, man, I saw a few walk out because they're tired of hearing the same thing. You said, slap me in the face and I give you my coat? No, that's not how it works. God doesn't even work like that. It says he destroys his enemies. That's factual. And I'm not asking us to stand up and hurt anybody, but I'm asking us to press our minds to find different ways where we can make change, where you can work from this side, I can work from the other side. You had Dr. King on this side. Malcolm X was on the other side. That's on the flyer. Malcolm X, under Elijah Muhammad, was bringing pressure, while Dr. King was saying, hey, let's compromise. But they were actually working together. So we can figure out ways to work together. Okay, you're going to disrupt. You're going to press the politicians. You're going to organize the youth. This one is going to do that. This one is going to have the social media campaign. This one is going to organize the march. We all got a role. And then when it's time to really kick in the door, then you could call Robert. But we got to have a full plan. That's what I'm saying, to deal with this. And I would love our young people to be the leaders of this thing. So I thank you all for listening as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.